All right, so this video is in response to every ball earth believer that exists. All right, so this guy says, yes, I can clearly see you have problems. Dunning-Kruger mostly. I can also see your educational background. There isn't any. Now, I want to make something very clear. I don't believe the Earth is a globe. I know it's a globe. With absolute 100% certainty. Just like I don't believe 2 + 2 = 4. It's a fact. There's also no need for me to take anyone's word for it, since I'm able to verify that to myself. I only do this for the comedic value, so I don't want to get stuck debating with you, especially when you've struggled to understand the most basic stuff that most three-year-olds can understand. So, okay, he says, I asked you a question. Does a mass need a force acting on it in order to move or accelerate? You answered yes, which is correct. Well, that's odd. I thought I had no education. But all the rest was something so idiotic, I actually got a headache. Yes, if you pick up a rock and hold it in your hand, you're applying a force on it. You're applying a force to the rock through the muscles of your hand that keeps the rock from accelerating towards the center of mass. Okay, see, that's a claim. Let me just get to the end of it. Once you let go, it starts to accelerate towards the center of the planet at 9.8 meters per second squared. Is that in water? Right? 9.8 meters per second squared is in water with your rock, right? Or let me just continue. That's called gravity. No, it's gravity. It grabs. It's called gravity. Gravity? What is a grav? But you can call it whatever you want. There still is a constant acceleration towards the center of mass, and that's an undisputable fact of reality, no matter what you call it. These guys believe this stuff. Believe. I also asked about the equatorial mount and how does it work on a flat Earth. Answer is, it won't. Well, that's weird. He says, I asked you about the equatorial mount. Answer is, it won't. I didn't say it won't. Okay, he says, it's impossible. Equatorial mount can be locked into any part of the sky, and it will stay locked to that point, turning on only one rotational axis. This is only possible on a sphere. That's also an indisputable fact. All right, guys, I'm going to clip in the video right now that I didn't even take this video. But, yeah, I don't have any equatorial mounts. Definitely. Yeah, you're definitely right. But also, neither does this guy. That's why he doesn't know how they work. I already told him how they work. I mean, I haven't even looked at the gears, but yeah, I know how they work. It's a 15-degree rotation off north. That's how it works. I mean, I haven't even looked at it, but yeah, he hasn't looked at it either, so don't worry about that part. Anyways, there's no point going any further with someone who can't grasp the basics, and I'm not really seeing the point trying to educate you, since you just deny everything. I tell and show you. Earth is a globe, and there's no debate on that, and I don't want you to take my word for it. Go on and experiment. This is something anybody can do. So his experiments, guys, these people are the regular people. These are not paid shills These people actually think this stuff is like legitimate to say. This argument is the simplest thing that there is. It's so simple. And the fact that these guys cannot even talk about the topic is just, guys, it's honestly depressing. These guys are so irrelevant. Let's say I was wrong and the Earth is a ball. These guys could never communicate that fact if it was a fact. They couldn't. So let's say that you're right and all of your suppositions are right and that you live on a ball, okay? But then you can't even communicate it? Okay, so we're just going to go through his nonsense really quick. He explains to me how, oh, no, he's not believing. He doesn't believe. He has proof. Okay, all right, great. Let's get to it. Does a mass and a force acting on it need a force acting on it in order to move or accelerate? Okay, so that's his experiment. He says, yes, if you pick up a rock and hold it in your hand, you're applying a force. Okay, so a rock doesn't move when there's no force applying on it. And then now we've got this person showing up and admitting that they are the force involved here. They're admitting it. Like, here, I picked up a rock. What picked up a rock? Was it gravity? What put the rock back down? Was it gravity? Or was it you? Watch, pick up a rock. Now don't put it down. Does the rock go down? Well, what if I just drop it really quickly? Okay, that's putting it down, right? You're putting it back in its equilibrium. You took it out of the... Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so like I said, equatorial mount, how would it work? A 15-degree rotation off north. That's how it would work. It's not difficult. But what is difficult is that this guy is willing to... He's willing to give testimony on something that he doesn't understand. He's not willing to point out that fact. I told you I've never looked at any gears on any equatorial mounts. I've never even set one up or, never used one. Seen video coming out of them. That's it. So is he mentioning that he doesn't have any clue how they work? No. But then he actually says that you can lock it onto a point in the sky and that it'll stay on that point because we live on a ball. And that literally makes no sense at all. At the very top, where we're supposed to be having axes. Okay, so at the very top, then you're saying that we're rotating at the exact same rate as on the equator? No. No. If you're rotating on one axis, these people are so insane. I'm just going to show you. I already showed you the video, hopefully by this point in the video. So, all right. So my response to this guy is, look, kid, I'm not going to argue with your beliefs. You don't have evidence because you're an idiot. You don't even know what evidence would look like. As for your questions, you are King Clown. Don't admit you're the force bringing an object out of equilibrium and then pretend a different force called gravity brings it back into equilibrium. Duh. And this time I'm just being shorter with him. I'm not gonna, he can't handle reality. So there's no point in even talking like, have I tore apart an equatorial mount? No, this time I'm just like, hey bud, that's how it works. 15-degree rotation per hour. I mean, he didn't hear me the first time. So I'm just, hey, restating it like, dude, what are you, stupid? When your proof is some device that you don't understand, then get ready for this type of thing. Someone will just show up and just make a claim and just, okay, whatever, your device doesn't work. That's literally all that's going to happen. And I could be wrong, but we can't even get to that point because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he was already clearly wrong about something. Okay, so he's willing to lie. That's what we already know about this guy. This is what we've known since the first comment that this idiot made. As soon as someone starts pretending they live on a ball, get ready for more, because it's just going to be the whole time. So I'm just telling him, you are right. There is no debate because you're too dumb to even be in the conversation. Dropping a rock doesn't prove you live on a ball. Duh. Look, we say the earth is flat and we still drop rocks. So how, well then one's disproving the other. No. Okay, now I'm just going to tell this moron how to focus on something that matters. Because, like, guys, it's so bad. It is pathetic. So I'm telling him right here, he's not even qualified to be in this conversation, you know, let alone debate. So yeah, no, there's not a debate. There's idiotic claims. And then I explain to him that, no, what you're saying, I have to explain to him that he's lying because he's so stupid that he literally doesn't know. He has no idea that he's lying. He doesn't know what a lie is. He thinks that other people giving him information becomes like information of his. Like, these people are all completely nuts. And I mean, this guy can talk better than any of the rest of the people in this. This is a Fight the Flat Earth video. I'm not sure what it was, or maybe it's not. I don't know. I went in, commented on everybody's thread, and just wrecked them. I mean, most of them can't even figure out how to respond to me, so they're kind of just like talking to each other. But this is, you know, he can at least communicate, you know. The reason why he's bringing up this 2 + 2 thing is because I keep trying to tell him that 2 + 2 does not equal he lives on a ball, and he literally can't even figure that out. Literally, not even that. He's like, he keeps saying it, like 2 + 2 = 4. That means we live on a ball. That means we live on a ball. I picked up a rock. I'm not the force. I'm not. Like, these people are so crazy. Guys, if I was wrong about the earth being flat, it's because there's nobody to talk to. No one. All right? I'm not wrong. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not wrong. The earth is flat and stationary. Obviously, you can see it every single day, right? Okay. But what I'm saying is, if I was wrong, these guys could never tell me. They could never say it. Like, no matter what side of the aisle you want to pretend like you're on, you know it's flat, you know it's a ball, okay? It's likely that you don't really know. I mean, it is flat, okay? But even the flat earthers, it's likely that you just really have no idea. You just, I mean, it's fine though, because you see water being level, and to accept that, that's the sign of a stable mind. That it is. It's not an insult. I'm not insulting flat earthers that really have no idea. I'm just saying, like, I see a lot of flat earth comments, and a lot of them are ridiculous. They're as stupid as the globe comments, literally half the time. It's just, who is going to take these lies further? And, like, you know, just people making claims for claims' sake. Like, oh no, this is what happens in Antarctica, even if they don't have evidence for it. Or, oh no, the moon's definitely self-illuminating, even though it's like there's no evidence for it. And then if they come up with evidence, it's like, oh, well, the moonlight's cold. What? So? That's not a sphericity test. Temperature. That's not how we, it's not a reflective test. It's not a, what? No. It's cold or light. It's confusing. But still, has nothing to do with whether it self-illuminates. It has nothing to do with the, no. So that's the point of this video, is like, I mean, honestly, I guess this is a lesson that I have to learn for me and that I'm sharing with you guys so that maybe you can look at it and think about it. Like, calling these retards retarded is true. I would hate to pretend like they're intelligent, you know, because that's a lie. That's like, well, I see your point. You dropped a rock. I don't see how you were involved at all. It must have been gravity. I love this one. Look, kid. That way, at least, I don't have to call him retarded. Just like, hey, you have child understanding. Obviously, you think dropping rocks means you live on a ball. It's like, you know, there's all sorts of things wrong with it. His statements. Like this. At 9.8 meters per second squared. Why is he even saying that? Guys, I'm not even sure if that's true. That's in a vacuum, right? Isn't that what that is? So, I mean, I don't have a vacuum to drop things from. It's like there's factors that, yeah. So he's not even pointing out that this is in a vacuum, because it's not that for a feather, right? And it's not that for like a kite, right? So, and then when you get in water, then that changes it. So he's like, look, it can be measured. It can be measured. Yeah, you remove some variables and then you measure something, and then what? Now you live on a ball. It's like, it's literally like, it's just all hearsay nonsense. It's everyone is just reciting things with no understanding. Did I say my last part? If I did not, I'm going to repeat it. Okay? Because this is maybe the most important thing. Like, guys, we've been in this debate for 5 years. Like, I live in the north. Okay? So I see the sun circling the North Pole. All right, so like Australians, that's obviously what you do to show that it's a ball, is you take 3 measurements. And then, okay, 3 measurements. We want orientation, okay, so we want to see east, west, we want to see the compass, right? We want like times. So maybe show your phone, like how my videos are. Yeah, and then 3, okay, 3. So what you're doing is you're going to measure to see if it's a circle around itself. Don't you get it? Like, why do these people talk about, like, oh, look, there's a rock that does this? Like, okay. But only if you're involved, though, right? Well, if I set it up with a trigger, so only if you're involved then, right? So Dunning-Kruger, it's so funny that every diagnosis that's come out of the flat earth ends up being used by globetards to diagnose the flat earthers. Every single one of them. Every one of them. The same thing happened with like cognitive dissonance. It's like now Dunning-Kruger, okay, this is just another perfect example of this. It's going to keep going too. So any truth that you point out to these guys, like the endless zombie horde just like chomps it up and then like, it's ours. You're Dunning-Kruger. I dropped a rock after picking it right up. But I was not involved. It was gravity. mean, do these people even need names? This one's Haslahali, but this is this is every conversation with every glober. It's 2 + 2 = we live on a ball, and I dropped a rock, and so that means that there's another force making that happen. Definitely not me. It's like, guys, verbs, subjects. You got to figure out these basics before you're going to get to science of whether or not the Earth is flat or not. Like, you're so far behind. And didn't he call it a planet? Root word of planet is what? A plane? A plane. Heliocentric. Or are we acentric? So is the plane. There's an invisible plane. We're acentric, so there's just no plane and we're revolving around it. Are we heliocentric, which means the sun is the plane? Right? Planets revolve around a plane, right? Isn't that planet, plane? So, it's like, guys, you got to really just get back to, like, the very basics. Pretending to be able to talk on matters of science. It's terrible. The reason why it's so terrible, these guys' arguments are so irrelevant. They're so dumb. You know, I'm just telling you, like, hey, just show the sun circling the South Pole. That's proof of the South Pole, dude. If you prove the South Pole, then you disprove. It's like, you really have to, like, I don't know. You really have to explain this stuff to them. Like, guys, how would you prove this? Well, just prove the South Pole of yours. People say there's a South Pole. It's easy to prove. Okay, so, like, you say that there's a 24-hour sun that's south. All right? So that's easy to prove, because then you just, like, you know, from the south, way down there, you're just like, all right, guys, I'm going to do this time lapse of the sun, and get it? We're just going to show that it is circling around the south, and, right, you see that in the north. You see the sun circle around the north in the summer, right? Because you have 17 hours of daylight. So in the winter, then we can show you the same thing, you know, because it's our summer in the south, right? When it's winter in the north. All right, so, like, it's a really simple matter. Is there a 24-hour sun? Guys, just take a video showing it south of you in Australia. Like, guys, the conversation's so easy that that's always my goal, is trying to get it back to the easiest, get it back to the easiest. And the problem with that is the easier and the more, that means the broader your statements become. Like, when you try and make it simple. So I've come up with a few, very simple. In the middle of every single night, the sun is north of you. Check the moon to confirm that. So that sentence, I try and keep that just as simple as possible. Just one sentence. Just north of you. In the middle. But in the middle of the night. You need to realize that in the middle of the night. Okay, so, yeah, that would disprove the flat Earth too. You could just video that. Like, I try and explain to you guys, like, how it is that you can conquer this, because trust me, I talk to a lot of globetards, and, like, it doesn't benefit me. I don't get any, like, better with my arguments because somebody says equatorial male. That doesn't win. I don't learn a lot from equatorial debate. You know, honestly, This guy doesn't even know what it looks like. I mean, D. Marble locked onto the moon, and then guess what? It did not stay. You know, obviously, like, why would it? All this stuff is not even supposed to be the same distance. So, I mean, the fact that equatorial mounts work at all is like, why does that work on a globe? That's really the question to me. But like I said, I don't have an equatorial mount. You're going to notice that the people that can afford these $1 million lobbies and all these like grand Satan telescopes, you're going to notice that it's not people that are like, you know, hanging your drywall or building your house or selling you some garbage, you know, like just regular people are doing for work. So, yeah, go ahead and donate to my PayPal. Buy me an equatorial mount. I'll prove you live on a globe for you. What do you want? Buy me an equatorial mount, and I will, just flag it in PayPal or send me an email like, hey, that was for you to buy an equatorial mount. Don't be spending that on your hashish or, you know, that's fine. I'll do a video like, here's equatorial mount. This is what I'm going to do with it, and I'll do my tests, and I'll show you, and yeah, let's do that. Come on, let's do that. I'm waiting for Owen Benjamin to start. I think he's great, you know? He's great. There's not too many things that I like seriously disagree with him about. He names the Catholic Church. To me, that's bigger than naming the other, but I could be wrong about that too. That's the deal, is we deal with such poor levels of evidence. And we have to realize that at some point. When we're considering like Epstein, just the whole concept of the story at all, you know, you need to just open up your possibilities. He could be both alive or dead. He could be, you know, free or in like a Illuminati prison. He could be, you know, every single possibility exists. And to try and tell somebody like, no, Epstein was definitely the murder victim of these two guards here, or any other thing that you've been fed, like, just get a hold of yourself and be like, is this bearing false witness? I feel like the path to freedom is not a revolution. It's following the way. It's not like, guys, I feel as bad as Owen Benjamin, worse than him, because you know, he's had more money throughout his life than I have, certainly. So he's definitely worked for it and everything. But, you know, I have too. A lot of times I haven't. A lot of my jobs have been worthless. A lot of you guys' jobs are worthless right now. Like, a lot of you guys can't come to terms with that. And, you know, I can understand that too. I've been in spots where it's like, I can either be worth something, like, you know, to humanity, to reality, or I can make a little bit more money and do like a sales and like lie, and, you know, and then it becomes like, whoa, you can really start lying about every single thing if you really just like let yourself go. And so then you have to draw lines, you know, just to keep people from realizing it and stuff. But no, you can catch liars. I was in sales for years. Trust me. Like, a lie is not hard to figure out. All right. That's about all I have to say. So, comment below, you know? It's like, you gotta, like, feed these globers what would be great proofs. Don't try and confuse them. Like, oh yeah, well, where's the flight data, all the equilibriums? And, like, guys, all we just need is some simple, like, some compass readings and some video, get some time lapse, you know? Like, that's it. That's all it takes. And then you just, like, link that, like, oh, buddy, I feel like you're wrong about this, and so, look, I got this evidence of this thing here. Look, to me, this looks like the sun is actually circling the south. Look, there's Sydney, and that's southern Sydney, and so we're able to see that, like, oh, and here's the compass or whatever, you know, like south, south. This is west, and you're right. Like, this is what we should be doing, not like, you know, stupid is what we are. Like, we're gonna have to come to terms with that, you know, like, if we could come to terms with that and, like, stop being full of shit, then, guys, that's the whole battle. It's the whole battle. That's one reason I love Owen Benjamin, because he, I think he gets that. He professes that, if not in the exact same words. It seems like the spirit of what he says is always that. I set reminders and everything for Owen Benjamin, see what he's talking about. Today it's the magical list, JFK and Tubal-Cain. Tubal-Cain was in the Bible, it seems like, somewhere. I don't know a lot about it. Masonic history or something. But, yeah, try and take my advice on that. Don't confuse anyone about anything. Don't, it's like, that's one thing I have about things like saying the electric universe. So even though basically that's pretty much what I believe, electromagnetic universe, same thing, I think. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I don't go terribly deep into it, you know. We should be doing more of that. Like, I don't know much about it, so if I am going to talk about it, then I'm going to want to be showing you something that is going to, it's going to be something on its own, and you can interpret it however you want, right? But I feel like there's evidence right here. So why don't you maybe see if you can match that, or see if you can see it in a different place, you know, so that you can kind of compare. Maybe you can figure out what the different gradients of that event are. And, like, you know, science, guys, this is how science works. It's not like claims about these gears on equatorial mounts that you don't know. I don't know. I'm admitting it, right? So, but that's why this is not great proof. What would be great proof is you just show the sun circling the southern hemisphere. You say there's a southern hemisphere? Great. Prove it. It's easy. It's not, none of this is hard. For some reason, like, the conversation is just like, the moon makes its own light. Like, are you saying the earth is flat? Let's get to something that's related to, like, the shape of maybe, you know, like, or the non-shape, you know? That's what I think. Non-shape is basically, there's two shapes. There's up, and that's like this empty shape. Sometimes mountains poke into it and stuff. And then there's down, which is the full shape. So I think that's a neat way of looking at it. You know, it might not even be right. These guys can't tell me any arguments. So that's where I'm coming from. Is that if you guys would come up with good arguments for them, like, you say you live on a ball, okay, well, this is a really easy way to prove it. So I gave you one. It's just like, if you happen to get into the southern hemisphere, you know, into the outer hemiplane, right, then what you're going to want to do is, in the summer, down or out there, you're just going to want to see if the sun's circling to the south, or, because in the summer we can see this pretty clearly. Like, the sun rises way north and then it sets way, like, really north. It rises and it sets in the north, you know, just like over on this side and over on this side. So we can see it. It's very obvious that this is rotating around the North Pole. So, I mean, as long as that's happening in the outer, you know, then you've got something to talk about. Flat earthers just being like, no, the sky, don't talk about the sky. Like, what? It's true that anything could be going on up there, right? Like, the sun could, like, be getting bigger as it gets farther away, and it would, like, totally change everything that we really conceive of. It's tough without, year-long measurements, obviously, and then time to devote to the 3D modeling, and then the expertise in modeling in order to replicate, your scales and things like that. I'm not sure if I'll ever really be able to accomplish in the models that I show you. But that's the deal, is you don't need models. You just, as long as people are talking about relevant things, then we're just going to get to the end of all of it. But right now, we are not talking about relevant things. We are talking about nonsense. I don't know. I can't say that it's all nonsense, okay? There's some things about Tartaria. There's some things about the Masonry that really just weirds me out. And the reason is that I was raised a third generation, like, actual Mason, an actual Mason. I don't know how many more generations before that, but just through my dad's line, so I'm not sure. But the Masonry that we learn today has nothing to do with, like, these monumental type structures. So, it's already, like, completely confusing to me. I've worked on some large buildings before. Skyscrapers, well, I mean, not like necessarily skyscrapers, but large buildings. Denver skyscrapers. So that's a skyscraper since it's already a mile up, right? But we don't know that. I don't know that personally. Someone does. And they wouldn't be lying if they said that. As long as they were right. We need to make this distinction between what we know. As long as we keep doing this, like, I do know this, I don't know that, right? And, like, being clear about it, then, like, a person could make a comment down below that was relevant to something. Because they could be like, hey, you said you don't know this, and look, you can know this for yourself, and here's how. So that would be, like, a really good comment to read. I would be like, whoa, that is valuable. Whereas, like, most of the comments are just total nonsense. And one problem with YouTube is that you can't link anymore. If you are talking to someone and you're like, hey, the earth is flat, and they're like, prove it, and you link on YouTube, then what happens is a lot of channels just kick you right to the supposed junk mail. And then even if your comment is approved, I don't believe that the person actually gets the notification. So if you link proof that the earth is flat, then what that does in the conversation thread is that it actually looks like you lost that point and that you didn't have an answer for it. Okay, so, like, you answered with this big old long, I typed this whole thing, right? And I left a link. And now your comment gets blocked because you showed actual proof. So that's something that you actually have to stop doing, is linking proof. Crazy, huh? On YouTube. You still can do it on, like, BitChute. That's the one that I've been having luck with. I know their search algorithm is messed up right now, but I like BitChute, I think. Oh, and Benjamin's doing something where with unauthorized, I'm not sure. We're going to have to get some feedback from people. We need just that environment to open up, because right now I think it's mostly just like 3 of them or something. But that will be cool if it does. All right, guys, that's all I'm going to bring up. Sorry if I've been out of frame. yeah, I've been having some equipment. All my equipment's the cheapest stuff there is. So my computer is okay, but it's definitely not like what you see out of people that are making these other YouTube videos. It's not. My audio's coming through a webcam. My headset, I can't connect my Bluetooth anymore because I had problems with my power supply, unplugged it, and then I guess I unplugged my Bluetooth antenna or something. Or the new power supply doesn't have a power for it. So I've got all this stuff to do because I'm broke and don't have like equipment worth using, But so that's going to be the price that you pay if you want to hear. You can just listen to it.